for 5 years. I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than going, I don't drink. I find it unproductive, not because I'm holier than whatever. I just don't operate that way. But I always thought it was very strange how she would go to drinks with one guy and then go to dinner with another. So it goes twofold here. So if you're expecting to marry someone that I was blessed with, like a Charlie, you have to be the type of woman that will attract a Charlie. Are you going to church? Are you going to Bible study? Did you tell your pastor?
You were proposed to by Charlie in 2020. You started dating him in 2018. And 3 years before that, you were dating this guy, Tyler Massey. I mean, you guys would do couples photo shoots. This is still online. And this is only 3 years before you started dating Charlie.
He's in heaven.
Yeah, and 2 years later, you were dating this guy, Cabot Phillips, and here he is posting you guys on his public page saying, yes, we're that couple who gets painting lessons together. Again, this is a year before you started dating Charlie, and well within the 5-year period you claim to have never dated anyone, but you were out here dissing your roommate for dating.
For months, one uncomfortable question kept spinning around the internet, and it refused to disappear. Comment sections, forums, and live stream chats kept circling back to the same topic again and again. People kept asking the same thing, but strangely, nobody close to Charlie Kirk seemed ready to clear the air or give a straight answer. The question was simple but loaded. Were the kids really his? Online discussions kept bringing it up, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly during late-night debates on live streams. Still, the people who might actually know the truth stayed silent, and that silence only made the curiosity grow even louder.
But the Lord used him. The Lord used him for me.
How long did it take you to fall in love with him?
That's the funny thing is it's so interesting because when we were sitting there, I fell in love with how brilliant he was to be able to articulate what he believed in. And when he said, I'm not going to hire you, I'm going to date you, I knew that was the Lord, because there were so many times where I said, my future husband that's out there, he will literally, it will be... The only reason why I look up is because the Lord says to look up, and that was something to look up to when someone's like, I'm going to date you. And so but honestly, it was the constant consistency of, I'm here for you.
Now, the conversation has taken a sharp turn because a report that people claim came from a doctor has started circulating online. According to what's being shared across social media, the DNA results being discussed don't just create doubts about Erika's story. Some online voices are even suggesting the possibility that a completely different father could be involved. But before anyone rushes straight to the most dramatic headline, the timeline matters. This story didn't suddenly appear because of one leak. Long before any report started spreading online, rumors had already been floating around for months. People online kept pointing to what they believed were strange gaps in the timeline, questions about past relationships, and why certain topics were never publicly addressed. The idea of DNA testing kept popping up again and again in these discussions, and slowly, one name started showing up more often in those conversations: Kabbat Phillips. That's exactly why this angle suddenly has everyone watching closely. To understand why people online are connecting these dots, you have to go back to the image Erika originally built when she first stepped into the public spotlight beside Charlie. From the very beginning, Erika was presented as the perfect match for Charlie's public image. Supporters saw her as someone who lined up closely with the message he promoted. She was described as disciplined, deeply religious, and committed to traditional values. In interviews, she often spoke openly about her faith and about living a lifestyle that she said was very different from what people usually connect with modern social media culture or today's dating scene. She also described her relationship with Charlie as something meaningful and guided by purpose. The way she talked about it made it sound like their connection had been building for a long time, almost like it was meant to happen.
How to be a biblical woman in society. I think it was Elizabeth Elliot that said, being a woman does not make me a better Christian or a certain Christian, but being a Christian makes me a very different woman. And I think understanding
yes, your biblical role, but also like be the woman that your future husband deserves. Like, be the woman that, God wants you to be. You don't have to be out partying. Don't, be crazy thinking like I'm running out of time when your God is the author of time.
That narrative held strong for a while, and many supporters embraced it. To them, Erika seemed like someone who reinforced the same ideas about faith, discipline, and personal values that Charlie often spoke publicly about. But eventually, the internet did what the internet always does. People started digging. Old clips began resurfacing. Archived interviews popped back up. Forgotten posts started circulating again. Once those pieces were placed side by side, some viewers began noticing small details that they felt didn't fully line up with the story people had been hearing. That's when some online observers started saying the first cracks in the narrative were appearing. One moment that caught many viewers off guard came when people rediscovered that Erika had previously appeared on a season of the reality series Summer House years before she was publicly known alongside Charlie. The show followed a group of young professionals spending their summers in the Hamptons while socializing and enjoying the fast-paced New York lifestyle. Clips from that season showed Erika spending time with friends, laughing, and participating in the kind of social environment that looked very different from the image many people later associated with her. Erika later addressed that time period in interviews, explaining that appearing on the show didn't automatically mean anything serious about her personal life. Still, the discovery sparked a question that kept circulating online. If that earlier chapter was harmless, some viewers wondered why it seemed like there was such a strong effort to distance from it later on. That curiosity didn't slow down either. As more people online kept asking questions, some started digging deeper into Erika's past, and another thread quickly started getting attention. The focus shifted to her relationships before meeting Charlie, long before the marriage and the public spotlight that followed. Before Charlie entered the picture, Erika had been publicly linked to several people, including Tyler and JT Massey. At the time, her connection with JT wasn't hidden at all. In fact, she spoke about him openly in magazine interviews and described him as a close friend and someone important in her life. Years later, when old photos of the two together resurfaced online, they spread across social media incredibly fast. Viewers started comparing those images with the public narrative many people had heard about Erika's earlier life. For some online observers, the pictures didn't seem to fully match the idea that her past had been completely separate from the circles she would later move in. But the conversation really picked up speed when an old video from a 2015 Trump rally started circulating again online. In the clip, Erika can be seen standing beside a man with a young girl positioned between them. People studying the footage closely started pointing out small details that caught their attention. Some viewers believed the girl appeared to resemble JT Massey, and standing nearby in the crowd was another name people recognized quickly: Tyler Bauer. That detail immediately grabbed attention because Tyler Bauer would later be described as the person who introduced Erika to Charlie Kirk in the first place. Suddenly, what once looked like random old footage started raising a lot more questions in online discussions. Viewers began re-examining the timeline and the connections between the people appearing in the same spaces years earlier.
Was until I hosted the first Trump rally in Trump rally history right here in Arizona in 2015. I got a call from Miss Erika Kirk, Miss Arizona 2012. I just want to help, she said. So naturally, I put her right behind the president.
Tyler Bauer didn't remain just a casual connection either. Over time, he became a significant figure inside the leadership structure of Turning Point USA. Once people realized he'd been present around Erika years before the relationship with Charlie became public, some online commentators started questioning the story about Erika and Charlie randomly meeting in an airport. What had once been described as a chance encounter started sounding less simple to some observers. Instead, people began wondering if the connections between these circles may have already existed behind the scenes. And that's exactly where another name started entering the timeline in a much bigger way: Cabot Phillips. Cabot wasn't just another person loosely connected to the same crowd. He worked as a senior editor within the same conservative media ecosystem that overlapped heavily with Charlie's network. Old tweets and archived photos show Kabbat Phillips sharing images from what appeared to be a painting date with Erika, and those images quickly started spreading through online discussions as well. Around that same period, more photos started circulating online showing Cabot and Charlie attending events together as friends. Once viewers began placing those timelines side by side, the story Erika had previously shared about meeting Charlie through a random job interview started getting a lot more scrutiny from people watching the situation online.
But just know that nothing is by mistake. Nothing. I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband. Well, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No. We were late for our flight, and I'm not going to come off like a crazy person that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Nothing is by coincidence.
For some observers, the timeline suddenly looked a little different. If Erika had already been spending time with Cabot while moving within the same political and media circles connected to Charlie's colleagues, then the idea that she had never been part of that environment before meeting Charlie became harder for some people to believe. That's exactly why Kabbat Phillips, speaking publicly now, has pulled so much attention across social media. For years, many online commentators believed Cabot might have known more about those circles than he ever shared publicly. He seemed close enough to understand what was happening behind the scenes, but quiet enough to avoid becoming part of the public drama that sometimes surrounded those networks. Now, with rumors spreading about a medical report that some online voices claim connects DNA results to Erika's pregnancy timeline, the conversation has taken another dramatic turn.
And I wouldn't do it. You went to a job interview. Literally. So this is how good the Lord is. He knew that because I was not dating in New York City, he knew that in order for me to know that that was my man, he had to blanket Charlie as a job interview. Because if that went in, no joke, if he came to me and said, hey, let's go on a date to Bill's Burgers, I'd be like, I am so sorry. Thank you, but no, we're not doing this. That was my mindset. I was not in that headspace. I just wasn't. But God will work in incredible ways when you surrender the pen for him to write your love story. And when you know that, look, if I remain in the jet stream of God's will, he will provide for me in ways I cannot even imagine. And that is my prayer for you. My prayer for you is to remain open.
People across social media have been debating what the claims could mean, though it's important to note that many of these discussions remain unverified and based largely on online speculation. At this point, the conversation isn't only about whether Erika was fully open about her past anymore. The bigger question some people online have started asking is whether Charlie himself may have had doubts at some point. According to those discussions, there were questions that some believe were never fully resolved before Charlie's death. As the internet began re-examining the timeline piece by piece, the demand for clear answers only seemed to grow louder. Viewers pointed out that Erika never directly addressed the ongoing speculation about DNA testing in detail. She didn't publicly confirm the rumors, but she also didn't provide a detailed explanation to shut them down. Instead, Erika largely stayed quiet while continuing to appear at public events and speaking engagements. That silence quickly became one of the biggest talking points online, with many people debating what it might mean. The timing made the situation stand out even more because other controversies were surfacing at the exact same time. After Charlie's passing, Erika began appearing at several public events that many supporters initially saw as tributes meant to honor his legacy. She spoke at conferences and gatherings where his message and work were discussed, but not everyone interpreted those appearances the same way. Some critics online started describing it differently, calling it a grief tour because because of how frequently she was seen on stage while her own public visibility continued to grow.
And you can see from behind me, this is a recreation of the tent where Charlie Kirk lost his life at Utah University in September, and people are taking selfies with it.
I can't. I cannot. I am not capable of whatever that. When I saw this, I realized I do not know enough words. I had to consult a thesaurus, and I still could not land upon the correct adjective to describe how I felt when I saw that tent. People taking selfies under a recreation. I don't know if it's actually a tent. It looks like it's pretty old, or a tent that Charlie died under. That's what was happening at Amfest. Horrified. I was aghast. I don't think I ever described myself as aghast. I was aghast. It was ghastly to look at that and to realize that they made a conscious decision to allow that to happen. To what end?
Then another moment arrived that sparked heated debate across social media, the situation surrounding Amfest. During the event, reports and photos circulating online suggested that a replica tent connected to the location where Charlie lost his life had been recreated as part of a display. Images shared online showed stage lighting, merchandise booths, and attendees walking through the recreated structure while taking photos. For some observers, the presentation felt uncomfortable. Critics argued that the display risked crossing a sensitive line between honoring someone's memory and unintentionally turning a tragic moment into something that felt more like a spectacle. At the same time, reports began circulating about possible internal tensions within Turning Point USA. According to whistleblower-style claims that spread online, several employees were reportedly dismissed from the organization with little public explanation. Some individuals who had worked there for years and helped build the group were said to have been let go unexpectedly, which quickly became another talking point online.
This is crazy.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
No, and I know you're going to keep saying that I understand. Like, I know that.
No, I know.
And I know there's probably no magic string of words that I could piece together to procure some type of answer. But I think on a surface level, like, I'm not going to walk out here until I say my piece. Like, I mean, y'all know this. I just worked a series of 80, 90-hour weeks plus for Amfest.
Yeah,
I've had no direction or explanation since we've come back. Our CEO has been assassinated. I've done nothing but bend over backwards for this organization in the playground, wondering if this is a prank.
It's not a prank. I wouldn't know that.
So I'm just trying to understand. And
no, I understand. It's time to.
So do I get to have a conversation with Dylan? Do I get to have a conversation with Justin or anybody? Or
nope.
No. And there's no explanation as to why I'm going to let go.
Right now, we'll leave it all.
You know, and you're going to keep saying a different direction. But I'm trying to understand how I've met multiple times with my.
We're going a different direction with the team, but I have to ask you to leave now.
You have to ask me to leave the property?
Yes.
Due to what, Frank?
Because we're asking you to leave because you've been terminated and we're not.
But there's no explanation or documentation for this. I've never had one bad review from Dylan. I've never had one issue with the company. I've never done anything unethical.
The official explanation suggested the organization was simply moving in a new direction. However, some commentators on social media speculated that the sudden changes could hint at deeper disagreements or internal restructuring happening behind the scenes. With all of that unfolding at once, the rumors and debates surrounding Erika's past relationships only seemed to grow louder across the internet. Online communities continued revisiting old timelines, resurfacing clips, and debating whether the different pieces of the story were truly connected or just being interpreted that way by curious viewers.
And so I'm sitting here understanding why my entire livelihood is being completely tossed out. I mean, I sat in this chair.
You're gonna do great things.
No, and I plan to.
I don't think your livelihood is being tossed out. I think you're very successful.
Well, my paycheck every other week is being tossed out, Frank, with absolutely no warning whatsoever.
I understand. But at this time, it's time for you to.
It's time for me to go. Why? Like this is the treatment that Turning Point is offering now.
It's time to go.
Frank, this is crazy.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
I don't think you do. This feels very heartless. This feels without emotion.
I do understand where you're coming from.
This feels completely without emotion.
Over the past few months, discussion threads across social media have continued connecting Erika's name to several public figures, including athletes and personalities linked to political circles. None of those claims have been confirmed, but the steady wave of speculation has kept the conversation active online. Because of that, some observers have started questioning whether the carefully presented image of a grieving widow tells the full story, or if there are still details people simply don't know yet. All of that brings the spotlight right back to the newest wave of debate, the alleged pregnancy report and the DNA results that people claim are circulating across the internet. If the documents being shared online were ever confirmed as real, the discussion would move far beyond simple gossip about Erika's personal life.
USA did a massive purge of employees a few days ago, or at the end of, I guess, last week, you could say. What did you hear about that purge?
I heard there were 30 to 40 people purged, that they were looking for the leak. They knew there are leaks out of TPUSA. They are terrified of these leaks because of what TPUSA has been up to. And rather than try to be an honest organization, it's just let's get rid of all the people we think might be disclosing that we're a dishonest organization.
For many people watching the situation unfold online, it would raise larger questions about whether Charlie may have privately faced uncertainties during the final years of his life that were never addressed publicly. Of course, those questions remain part of internet speculation, but the conversation continues to grow because of how many timelines are suddenly colliding at once. Old footage has resurfaced, past connections keep getting revisited, and every time the internet thinks it has the full picture, another detail seems to appear and restart the debate all over again. But on top of that, people online keep pointing to what they see as inconsistencies in how Erika described certain parts of her past.
Apparently, Tom Brady and Erika Kirk are reportedly dating now, and this got 13 million views in just one day with 80,000 likes. But guys, it gets worse. Because as you know, in several podcasts with Charlie Kirk, Erika Kirk said that she would be single forever if they ever got a divorce or anything ever happened, right? Well, as you know, he passed away, that everybody already knows that, but yeah, apparently they are dating, and I really just don't even understand this. A lot of people are saying JD Vance is going to be sad. Obviously, that's just the joke because she was like hugging him on stage, but obviously she just like is touchy like that. So like that's the excuse, right?
Others highlight the noticeable silence around DNA testing discussions, along with the name Cabot Phillips now being mentioned by some commentators in connection with the alleged results. When those pieces are placed side by side, the internet isn't just debating one rumor anymore. Instead, many online observers believe they're looking at a much larger pattern that they're trying to understand. Charlie himself never appeared on camera making accusations, and he never publicly confronted these questions while he was alive. Now that he's gone, some observers believe any answers, if they ever come, may not come from interviews or statements at all. Some observers believe the answers, if they ever appear, could come from documents or official records rather than public statements. That possibility is exactly why so many people online are watching this story unfold so closely right now. For many viewers following the discussion, even one verified document confirming a different father would do more than revive an old rumor. It could completely reshape how people understand the timeline surrounding the final years of Charlie's life. If something like that were ever confirmed, some online commentators say the entire timeline of Erika's life within those political circles could end up being re-examined from the beginning. That idea alone has fueled intense reactions across comment sections and discussion threads. Online responses have been especially strong, with some commenters speaking very bluntly about the situation. One user wrote, "Her not being a mother in the absence of their father is diabolical." Another commenter said, "DNA test on them kiddos, Charlie parent, need a DNA test on those kids ASAP." Comments like those have been spreading quickly across social media as people continue debating what may or may not have happened. And when the internet starts loudly demanding proof or confirmation like this, it usually means many viewers believe there could be a bigger story underneath the surface, even if the full facts are still unclear. Right now, the real question isn't whether the rumors exist. Everyone already knows they do. The bigger question is whether the evidence people keep pointing to will ever actually confirm any of them. Because if a DNA result like the one being discussed were ever officially verified, it wouldn't just shift the conversation online. It could completely change how this entire story is remembered. It could also reshape who people believe was telling the truth from the very beginning. Over the past few months, one thing has become clear to anyone watching this situation unfold. The deeper people dig into the timeline, the more new questions seem to pop up. Old footage keeps resurfacing, past connections keep getting revisited, and every time the internet thinks it has the full picture, another detail seems to appear and restart the debate all over again. But now we want to hear from you. What do you think is really going on here? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one, because this story might be far from over.